Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Believe live call-in show. And tonight, it's a little bit different. We are hosting our very first call-in show on YouTube. And I see a lot of people have been asking in the comments here about like, why are we going onto YouTube? And there is a couple of reasons. One, I believe the quality of the feed is drastically better, and also the fact that we can hopefully get a better connection. So I've had a little bit of a, what would you say, chat with other creators, and they said, look, give the YouTube platform a go for your live feeds. So we are doing that tonight. So guys, let me know what you think of the of the new setup. This is all new, so hopefully everything's working fine. In the comments, let me know if you can actually hear me, because one of the things is I don't get instant feedback on my end. There's about a 20-second delay. So if you could let me know on your end, that would be super awesome, because that way there we can I don't know, get the ball rolling, I guess. So guys, it's good to be back. We've been off the air for a little while, and I guess everyone the big question is when is season 13 of the podcast dropping? 13 seasons. Wow, that's 130 fantastic encounters. So very soon, actually. So season 13 will be dropping, I believe, in about 2 weeks. So we've got basically the whole season wrapped up. It's in the bag, so to say. I just need to basically go out and edit all the episodes. I just got a couple more, I guess, interviews and tweaks to do. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But season 13 is an absolute cracker. The guests have been really fantastic, and every guest that comes on the show is fantastic. Of course, you know, there's absolutely no favorites when it comes to that, because everyone's encounter is unique and different. So yes, we will be releasing that very soon. And for the Believe Plus members, you have got your very first episode of an exclusive evidence review show that I do, purely video based. So if you guys have any evidence that you want me to review, shoot it through, because I'd love to show that to our Patreon, not Patreon members, Believe Plus members. So if you are interested in that, head on over to the website and just hit the little plus tab at the top, and you can get yourself a sneaky extra little video based content rather than audio. So I'm trying to introduce a little bit more video into this. If my voice dies tonight, I've been battling a little bit of a croaky throat, so let me know. Let me know if you think I'm starting to trail off. Maybe we can end it early. I'm sure you guys will love that. So unfortunately, we haven't got the little chat feed on the side going, and I'm so bummed. I thought that would have worked. I thought that would have been really cool to get that up and running. Why it's not doing it, I couldn't tell you. It's I guess it is what it is. So hopefully we can get that going. I don't know. It would be cool if it got up there, but unfortunately I can't get it to work tonight. This is my first time on the YouTube live stream. So next time we do this, you should see the chat going up the side, and everyone can kind of get involved that way, which is a bit of a fun extra little thing to do. So it we'll figure it out. So it is what it is, I guess. So guys, how have you been? It's been a hot minute. So got a lot of positive feedback from season 12 of the podcast. So thank you so much to everyone who's listened. And thank you to all the guests who came on season 12. We ended it with a really fantastic guest in that of Dean Harrison. Flew all the way up to Cairns for it. And I tell you what, the guy puts in a lot of effort. So I got him into the work studio. And yeah, he had a great time. He really enjoyed it. I loved having him here. And yeah, it is what it is. So people are telling me that the chat is working. I don't know if the chat feed is working on the screen or not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. No, it's definitely not on the stream here, so that's okay. But the chat is working on the side, I guess. So thank you to everyone who's watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, because you will get a little notification whenever we go live. So I think we will start doing more streams on YouTube here, because basically all Believe Plus members get a copy of this video that I upload to YouTube, and just saves me a step too. So I don't mind that, because I'm a bit lazy like that. So I'm just going to go to the chat. So guys, if you have any questions for me or anything like that, hit me up in the chat window here, because I can see them all on my end here. Unfortunately, they're not showing up on the live stream, which I'll get that figured out one day. But yeah, it is. Sorry, I am getting notifications going everywhere. We'll just close that window. So, where are we? Diana, love a croaky throat. That makes you and not me, because I hate this. Tell you what, guys, never have kids and never send them to daycare, because they become little disease machines and bring every bloody bug home with them. Can we say what we want about Cade without him knowing? That's from Tracy Marshall. No, you can't, because I can see the chat. I just can't get it up on the live feed, unfortunately. So I saw someone say up there a little bit earlier there that they liked the hat. Yeah, that was Glenn Kilmartin. Love your hat, Cade. Yeah, I do too. It's really cool. I don't know. Should I sell hats? I don't know if anyone wants to buy these or not. They're ridiculously expensive to manufacture or anything like that. So let me know. Do you guys want hats? Maybe we can sort something out. Maybe we can get a handful done, like an exclusive order. So yeah, we'll see. Glenn Kilmartin says, tell us about Comic Confidential. Yeah, so for everyone on the live stream or on the podcast, if you're catching it that way, you may not have realized that I did a completely other podcast, like so different to what this one is, and it was about pop culture. So if you're anything like me and a bit of a nerd at heart, that podcast might be right up your alley. And yeah, go check it out if you want. Did our final episode ever. The show's unfortunately come to an end, but it does mean that I can now focus purely on this podcast alone, and hopefully start pumping out even more bonus content for premium members. So just another reason, if you are on the fence about getting into Believe Plus, that could be something that kind of pushes you over the edge, because I'm going to do a big rehaul of the what would you call it? The portal, I guess, on the website for Believe Plus members. So you get a whole bunch of extra stuff on there too. So yeah, that's something I'm looking at. So guys, if you do have any questions, just leave them in the chat, and I'll help you out there. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit of crossover talk here, get my nerd on a bit. Michael Lane asked, did you talk about Eternals? No, because it wasn't out yet. But if you're really into all those Marvel and DC things, Michael, go check it out, because we did that podcast twice. So there's like 250 episodes roughly of it if you search on Spotify. So might be right up your alley. It's a very funny podcast, very, very different from Believe. So you get to see a much more lighthearted, I guess, version of myself. So if you do want to see that type of thing, yeah, head over there and check it out, because it was really fun, and I will miss doing it, but I think I'll love doing more Believe stuff more than I'll miss talking nerdy stuff, if that makes sense. So, has anyone heard of Steve Huff or Channeling Eric? Helen Jepson asks. Never heard of them or anything like that. Yeah, I'm not too sure what that is. So, yeah, is it worth looking into? Is that something I should be checking out? I'm not too sure. Glenn Kilmartin says a bit of swearing on Comic Confidential. Yes, there's more than a bit. It is very loose and very can be very inappropriate, but it is a whole bunch of mates just hanging out, having a really good time. So yeah, guys, if you do want to call in, the number is right there above me, right up there. 0730403096. Call in if you want. You don't have to. I'm happy to just kind of troll the question box here, because I think this is a really cool way to talk to you guys and kind of interact with you all. So, if you do have any questions about the podcast or anything like that, anything that you may want to ask me directly, drop it in the question box below, because I bit of an open book. So, if you want to know anything, what's coming up on the podcast, where it goes, happy to do that. So, yeah. So let's just go up here. There is a lot of chat going on here, so that's really cool. And everyone, if you can let me know where you're from, that would be great, because borders are opening. I'd love to do something for the podcast, maybe interstate, maybe like a live show. Who knows? Maybe something like that. So we do have a call coming in. I'm going to get them live. Caller, what's your name and where you from?
G'day, Cade. This is Ben Elder.
Hey, Ben.
Long-time listener.
How you doing, mate?
How are you?
I'm good.
Very well. Good. Just turning the podcast down. So I've been meaning to contact you for a little while now.
Okay.
Regarding a couple of things that have occurred in my lifetime. And, I'm happy to shoot with wherever you want me to start.
Mate, you start wherever you feel most comfortable, because you're the one calling up. You're the one taking, the leap of faith here. So the floor is yours, Ben. Tell me what's on your mind, mate.
Well, mate, it was about 2 years ago now, around the time that I actually joined up with Believe, and I think that was potentially a year and a half ago, to the 6 months prior to that. I had a recollection of a situation that happened to me when I was much, much younger, when I was 15, 16. So we're talking 20 or so years ago now. So we're talking 97, 98. I live near Wollston Park. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Wollston Park Asylum.
No.
Comes with a very, very rich history.
Yeah, right, okay.
Wollston Park Asylum, otherwise known as Woogaroo Asylum, was one of the. It was a lunatic asylum put in place around the 1850s, 60s, I think, is when they kicked it off. But it's in one of the oldest parts of Brisbane that was Wacol. And most people wouldn't even know this, but Wacol Goodna, this particular part of it where I live near the river, was one of the first places that John Oxley landed, and then was one of the first places in Brisbane to have a settlement. And then lo and behold, Brisbane is what it is now, but it's all in thanks and part to this area, just unacknowledged and unknown, really.
Oh, wow.
So it's very old, and the asylum itself has been, it's very old buildings, and I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Wolston House, which is the oldest farmhouse, but oldest existing farmhouse from that particular time frame back in the 1800s here in Queensland. So don't quote me on that because I'm not giving you full factual information at the moment. So there's a lot of heavy energy in the area that I live in. And over the years, I discovered that I am an empath, and that's more or less in recent years. But while acknowledging all the things that occurred when I was much younger and throughout my teen years and early 20s, while sitting down with myself, I've definitely had a strange, I think, a Yowie experience personally because of what occurred by the Brisbane River in between Wolston Park itself, the main part of the hospital, and Wolston House, which is a fair distance, a couple of k's upriver. So I'll come back to that. But what I wanted to go to was I'm happy to talk about, if you've got time, of course, one of my ghost experiences.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I'd love to hear about it because I'm always all ears when someone says they're an empath, because I recently had an experience with an empath, and it blew my bloody mind.
I think you are. I mean, Kate, I listen to you all the time, and just yourself and Dean, I've listened to the both of you for quite some time now. So obviously separately with both of your individual platforms, but yourself, you're kind of like a little bit like Sarah. You've got a part of you that is part empath, whether you know it or not, because of the way you connect to people and the way you want to connect to people. I can tell. It's a part of you, and you care.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I am a little unusual because I will start at the first story, which is at Wolston Park. When I was much younger, when we moved here in the area, I was 8 or 9 years old, and I took off into the bush around the area after growing up in the inner city, and loved it, went wild. But I went exploring through the old hospital, and there's a lot of really, really scary old buildings, but I would do this by myself. I mean, I had no fear. And I was in the building, this giant building, which is still there to this day, and I will give you further information on this. I must talk to you again at some point. But I was in the building and just rummaging through, walking through, and as I was walking through, when I've heard this strange, like a very strange, like a who kind of murmur, kind of noise, like someone's noticed me while I'm walking around and kind of done the who kind of strange noise. And I remember that and like pricking up and looking around, nothing in sight, only to take 2 steps forward and then something walked past the door frame.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't scared. I wasn't terrified. I just realized that, I was perhaps not meant to be there. So I took off. And that was the very first experience. When I was 25, I went on holiday to Hobart in Tassie and went to, of all the places that you could go to, whenever you're in Tassie, Port Arthur. Now, I signed myself up for the night ghost tour with some friends, and at that stage of my life, I was more skeptical. I was right into ghost movies, you name it, anything that could give me a good scare. But I wasn't really, because I was much of a fence sitter, like a believer, non-believer. Just basically, I was like, okay, whatever you can throw at me, let me see what's going on.
Yeah.
While going on this tour, I was that person just walking around like, oh, of course they're going to have flickering lights and they're going to tell you scary stories because that's what it's a ghost tour. They paid, get paid to do this.
Yeah, of course.
It was halfway through the trip, we stopped at a building and we rounded the back of the building, and immediately it was like a horse stopped dead in its tracks, and I would not move to go into this building, only to find out it was a morgue. which made me not want to go in it anymore. But there was just this massive sense to say, don't go there. Unfortunately, I had to kind of go with the group, and I ended up at the back of the group with my hand up ready to grab the person in front of me because I had the sense that there's something I'm not supposed to be here. And when we rounded up down inside the morgue itself, now this is, the 1800s, British colonial days, the doctor or surgeon, whoever operated there, didn't really work with the code of ethics. Back in those days, you had to be non-Christian for your body to be dismembered or cut up. And I don't think that really qualified, nor did that get carried through. I think the person that actually did that could have been quite monstrous. But while we were standing in the room and standing around a sandstone table with 3 separate sheets of sandstone that could shift and move, I was staring directly at the woman who was running the tour, looking at her because something was in the room with us, and it was immediately affecting me. I was terrified. I was glued to my position and staring at the guide, staring at her to say, like, let us out. She didn't make eye contact with me for at least the 5-10 minutes she was talking. And whatever was in the room with us, it crept. Like, I don't see things, I feel things, just to stipulate that.
Yeah.
More so than anything. And this thing crept across the floor, and then it started to come in through my toes, and it went into my body. Like I was petrified and glued to the spot in a room with another 15 people, and I couldn't do anything. And I'm standing there petrified, going white, until she finally looked at me, and I must have had that look in my face. And it was almost as if as soon as she said, okay, we can leave, it was like the spell was broken, and I raced outside. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. Standing outside, I had my friends walk over to me, and I could see their mouths moving, and I was responding, and I'm getting people putting their finger up to their mouth, shushing me, not realizing that I'd gone deaf. I couldn't, like, my ears were just starting to ring, and I couldn't hear a thing.
Wow.
And it was very, very, very intense. And I touched on the body entry, like I was an unprepared empath back in those days because I wasn't aware of what to sort of do in order to protect yourself. So that was a very, very scary experience.
Yeah, absolutely. That is just straight up terrifying, Ben, because you're frozen, you can't talk, and you have this entity, this thing trying to get into your body, like it's entering your body. It's not trying to, it's actually going into you. What's going through your mind there, man?
Well, other than the sheer terror, because I couldn't I really didn't understand what was happening. It was more like, call this a lesson to be learned, because the experience itself while going through it was petrifying. It was terrifying. And again, I wasn't scared, beyond my wits, in order to be able to deal with anything. In fact, leaving Port Arthur that night, we went back to my friend's house only to watch a really disturbing documentary about another psychiatric center in the US. I'll come back to you on that one when I figure out what the name of. But it was horrible. I've lived all over Australia. I've lived in Papua New Guinea. I've been to some incredible places. And when I moved back to Brisbane 7 years ago, I went to work in the city, and I worked for a hotel in Kangaroo Point for an Italian family. No, nothing untoward in this building whatsoever. Only that I had a guy check in late on a Saturday night, and I stayed over in the building as a caretaker manager. And on the Sunday morning, when the gentleman was due to check out, he didn't check out at 10 a.m. And this gentleman was upstairs on the 4th floor. When I did get up to the room, it was after 12. It was a Sunday. It was not important to get the room turned over or anything. But when I got to the room, I got onto the floor, immediately as I stepped off the elevator onto the floor, I knew, this is the strange part, because again, in hindsight, I can give you even more information now for my experience. But at the time, I knew exactly what was going on, but I shelved it because, you're in your day-to-day regular world. This is my job. Carry on. I entered the room and immediately I knew something was up. Like, I hadn't even rounded the corner, and the gentleman had actually, I'm not trying to terrify the listeners here, but he'd taken his own life during the night. And
oh dear.
So I discovered him in that situation. I'm sure the listeners are probably sitting there thinking, who is this guy? But it is not the scenario you would wish upon anybody. But I'm made of pretty tough stuff. And when it comes to human beings, and especially protection of people, or, someone who has passed away, regardless of whether to me, a human body and a human being is to be cared for and looked after, even in death. So there was a very particular thing about his left leg and left arm hanging off the bed at that stage. They'd gone blue. And this is a point to remember, please. So when I dealt with that day, sent him home, sent the police there to sort it all out, and it was all taken care of. I went home that night, and when I got to the top of the landing, I live in a 2-story house. I got to the landing, I just whipped around, and I'm not religious, not in the general concept of being religious. I made the sign of the cross. Just had to find, it was like a protection thing, and said, no, you can't come in. Now, I whipped around and thought I was strange at the time, but I do know there's that other part of me that knows better, and at the time I wasn't educated to know any better. I had experiences go on for a year and a half after that.
Oh, really?
Went through yes. And we can't put this, the gentleman was alive when I saw him on the Saturday night. And then obviously I found him deceased the next day. But he didn't leave. And then when I say leave, he didn't leave the earthly realm. He was still here. And I've ended up having a year and a half's worth of experiences of him coming and going from being here. And that was when I really knew that there was something really up. Now, he didn't get, he wasn't a scary person. It didn't give me any anxiety or any major issues. It's just that when he was present, everything changed. I mean, and when I say everything, the atmosphere in my room would change, and it would almost not only envelop you, but the room became dense, and it would just fill with whatever I'd say his feelings were, which was very, very, very sad, very depressive, very, gut wrenching feelings, of depression and sadness. So it is a strange thing to be an empath, and then to also try and relay this to you guys, to anyone else who doesn't recognize themselves as being that way themselves. But in conclusion to this particular story, I went to Kilcoy visiting a friend. I used to visit her all the time, so I spent a lot of time out in the country, and just happened to be walking up the main street on another Saturday night after ordering burgers, only to discover that there was a psychic shop just magically appearing. That wasn't there the day. It wasn't there the day before, but then it was there that next day, and this is Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. My friend and I, she'd recently just lost her partner and gone through a very tragic circumstance, and so we were a little bit we were a little bit iffy when we just walked up to the door and saw that it was in fact a psychic medium working there. But someone was inside the shop and opened the door and actually turned around and said she'd been waiting for me. So I went in with her, and lo and behold, she explained to me, like, there's more reasons, and I'll happily tell you more information as we go, but just to try and get this out. While standing in the doorway, she was looking at me and we were talking, but then she was starting to sort of look through me and then turning ahead and looking behind me. And I just, kept going, kept talking, only to stop her in her tracks and sort of say, like, is there someone behind me? And she just looked at me, and then she looked behind me again, only to look back at me without, missing a beat, and saying, "You have a lot of hanger-oners." And that was her word.
Oh,
and
wow.
I had to ask her, what a hanger-oner is. And she looked outside again, looking straight back at me, and she said, "The blue man that's standing outside." And I was myself and my friend were the only ones that ever called him that, or my mum for that matter, because of how I found him with his left arm and left leg hanging off the bed and had gone blue at the stage I found him. So
Wow.
when she verified that he was literally standing outside, and I was able, I just burst into tears because I knew I wasn't crazy. It was
What a
confirmation of that. So I
yeah.
knew that I wasn't this foolishly crazy person.
What a moment of just solidarity in yourself to have someone else just kind of validate everything that you've been feeling, because I could imagine you'd be quite alone in that world of being an empath and not being able to share or I guess portray the things that you can see, the things that you can feel, and to have someone else just get on your level so I guess intimately and quickly. That would have been a real moment for you.
Total tailspin. Yeah. And it was, I wouldn't say the moment was incredibly heavy. It was actually kind of the opposite. It was really releasing and lifting to know by fact alone that, that when I got to know this woman a lot better, and she's an incredibly gifted medium, especially one that has hers is with sight. So, with what she sees and the way she explained a lot to myself and my friend about them existing all around us. That's just in part, I guess, when you want to break, when you want to break it down further, you find that, we're all energy. Energy is all around us, and there's different levels and facets. I know that you guys talk a lot about dimensional stuff, and that it's all around us at any given moment. So there's just those moments where, not moments, sorry, there's just those of us, I guess, that can pierce the veil in different ways. And I honestly believe that every single individual human being, whether we all have the latent same internally, we are able to do much the same. We'll tap into empathy or whatever a gift may be. Regardless, everyone does have their gifts. It's whether or not they recognize it and can work on it. And in my case, I was unable to for so long, because not entirely unable, just having to wing it and do it on my own until I was able to finally speak to and click and work out a few things in order to then, nose dive into it all and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to ask, now that you're an empath and you kind of have these special, I guess, skills, it sounds like you're kind of training yourself or learning to utilize it, or starting to understand it a little bit more. How does one go about that?
Well, literally the very first thing that I did was go on a paranormal investigation.
Going in the deep end, mate.
I don't like to think of myself as a strange person, but I realize that I probably don't conform to the norm. I've never been a conformist.
Yeah.
And that's something that, I make my own decisions. So whether people think that, I conform to things, it's like, well, I'm still able to make my decision on whether I'm going to do it or not. It's just that, I've realized in life that it does come down to choice, and we all have it. That is one of the most important things to know, is that in life, you have choice at any given stage, any given moment. So, that's sort of what life throws at us. But what we are given internally is the ability to, I call our compass, in your heart and in your gut, with your inbuilt compass for intuition, good or bad. And when you don't let the head, because unfortunately our head will click into play, our brain will tick over almost immediately as, whatever action happens. But we have an immediate response, but we tend to override it with our brain. And that immediate response is more or less, whether it's in your heart or it's in your gut, to tell you if it's right or wrong. I know it can sort of come through to people differently, but it's definitely something through my lifetime of experience, I've been able to hone in on certain things. So I'm a little widow that walks around, and I just tend to sort of let my energy drift out a bit. By that I mean it's very controlled nowadays. But when I walk in around places, I sort of let drift out to see who it connects to. And if it connects to anyone in the room, like I'm meant to have a conversation with someone, it can happen that randomly. I've literally had those kind of random conversations with someone you've just walked into in a coffee shop, and you stand there for the next hour and 2 hours discussing empathy and climbing from, you may have been lacking in information only to have that information sent your way by this conversation in a cafe.
Yeah.
So
no,
I want to say that
Sorry, you go.
You're right. I am in training in essence. It's more or less because I've just started putting certain things into practice. But I did join up with a paranormal investigation group that went to Wolston House. Prior Paranormal is what they're called, and it was great. I was able to sort of sit in and use. They had all the gizmos and gadgets that you could want to play with, and I was able to use one of the, I'm not going to call it the right thing, but like the Xbox camera with the little twigs that pop up when something's
and
standing.
it shows like the figures and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. And so when I went downstairs, and like there's a downstairs basement area, and that's where I was picking it up. Well, that was where the strongest energies came through, and I was able to literally see it pop up on the screen in front of me. So that was cool, because it's just helping to sort of verify to me that, my little pulls and tugs and wherever I get the sense and sensations and what comes through, it's not to generalize so much and say it's right there in front of me. But if I'm, like looking that way and going that direction and it's pulling me towards it, and then all of a sudden it pops up on the camera, it's kind of like, oh, great, that's acknowledgement. This is cool.
Totally. Yeah. That would be such a cool thing to do, because it lets you know that, you're really in tune with your gift, and that you can trust it. But
and I've just seen a comment saying, is he spiritual? And in a way, I would say that my spirituality is growing because of the connection to empathy.
Yeah. And I was just about to say, Ben, that you're very articulate and you're very level-headed about everything that you say and that you do, because a lot of people don't really have the words for what you're saying, or don't know how to portray that in a way that is easily understandable. And I think that you seem to have this gift quite, I wouldn't say mastered, I don't think that's the word, but you seem to be quite in tune with it to at least know what you're doing, to a point where you can explain that to others in such an easy way.
Yes. I would agree with you there. I would not call myself a master of any kind. I mean, I honestly believe that life is continual learning regardless. But I definitely am well more, but where I sit with this now, it affirms to me that, those things I know what it's like to be, in the human experience, to not believe in ourselves, and also to more or less allow, you can call societal, like society factors, or just, people berating you, or, people thinking that you're crazy. And that's more or less what a lot of people do. I mean, you and I both listen to and have a lot to do with our investigations and research and whatnot in that aspect. And I know full well, who doesn't feel crazy when they're trying to tell you that they've seen something that could potentially be 9 foot tall, and that's not supposed to be there out in the not even in the outback, but just in like in the bush in the backyard. That no one ever talks about, that, no one seems to want to talk about. And because when I was much younger, because I was aware of these things occurring around happening to not only myself, but to other people, and people's reactions, I straight up saw, people shut down. And I'm kind of the opposite of that, because I really encourage communication, and I really want people to feel safe in a safe place and feel okay with speaking to someone that's not going to sit there and, judge everything that comes out of their mouth, but just sitting there, in fact, to just listen and to hear them. I mean, I wish people would do that more often and just hear people out.
Absolutely, mate. And, it's one of the main reasons that this podcast exists, because there's not enough places that you can do that. And, and not be judged and thought that you're crazy for seeing something like that, because, not everyone is, I would say, on our level with that type of awareness, I would say.
That's fair. And unfortunately, it's I want to say that's fair. It is a little unfair that, what is generally pushed onto people, is to, basically wipe away anything that comes out of it, wipe those ideas away from people that, as they're coming out with them, not even ideas, sorry, conversing and let them know, like, this happened to me. And generally when people, I have, thankfully, over the years, you could more or less say, because I didn't receive any, there was no education with this, empathy, I didn't have a grandmother that was a witch or anything like that can that could lead me down the path of knowledge or anything like that. It's very much self-taught and through others, and by finding people to connect with, especially on the psychic side of things / empathic side of things. In order to develop on that, I have pushed myself out there to be around more people like that, but also to allow just for people to speak, so that when they do speak, you can sense and really work out what is a lie and what is truth. And when I'm telling friends and family to listen to the podcast for yourself, or talking about Dean and AYR, or even because I've managed to convince a lot of people, and I didn't go out to convince them. I just expressed it in the way it says, the way that I stated is, if you listen to the people speaking, I guarantee you will be able to tell if that person is lying or not. Because if you know, especially if you learn the cues, I know these people. I know that most people getting on to Dean and Sarah and yourself, no one's making this up. This isn't a lie. It's a shared. People are wanting to share that, and when they're sharing, you don't hear embellishment. No one's. That person that saw something run across the road for 5 seconds can give you only, that brief account. I can give you that information. They don't further embellish it.
Yeah, exactly. And, I figure if people have enough time to try and get onto my podcast, Sarah's podcast, or AYR with a bullshit story, I just think it says a lot about that person.
And I agree with that.
But Ben, man, you are super, super interesting, man. You are. I want you to shoot me an email about your Yowie encounter, mate, because we've only got a couple of minutes left for the live stream tonight. You've been an absolute hero for it tonight. You've your encounters, incredible, mate. They are genuinely. Oh man, I was getting goosebumps the entire time. And
thank you.
I love the fact that you do speak so well, and you do have such a sound understanding of what you're talking about. I think it's really cool.
I don't see why people can't be sensible people. Just having the way I see it is just having consideration and compassion in order for someone else to be able to just speak. Let them speak. And you find that, when people feel that they're in a trusting space that they can speak and they're not feeling judged, they don't go out of their way to, because you can tend to do that sometimes, if people are sort of disbelieving, you can try to somewhat convince, and I'm past that. I don't want to convince anyone of anything. I really don't, because it happened to me, and I could care less if other people, pick up and learn. If they pick up and learn from me, or they genuinely connect with it, that's great. If it's the flip side of that and they think I'm full of crap, that's fine, because I really, what if someone else thinks about you is none of your business, and I could care less.
Amazing.
But I do understand, and I understand why people are too terrified to speak about a lot of things, because it is, it's reactions of others, and it can be people that they're very close to. Your own family can make you feel crazy. I've definitely felt that. I'm not going to attack my family, but we've had our moments, and yes, I've definitely felt that myself. And I was tied up for quite a long time, very much shut down. So and I appreciate what you say, and thank you for that. But yeah, it's not really hard to be this way. It's just, I really just see it as consideration, courtesy, and sensibility.
Yeah. And you know what, mate? I wish more people were like you, because I think it would make the whole, I guess the paranormal world a whole lot better, and the Yowie world a whole lot better too, because there's just so much negativity attached to it. So, talking to someone like yourself, in those fields, you're definitely a breath of fresh air, and it's very welcomed. So, yeah, thank you so much for calling in, Ben. And I really do. I want you to email me about your Yowie encounter, mate, because I can tell you, I think we're going to get you on the air again pretty much straight away.
Sure. Well, thank you, Cade. Mate, I can't thank you enough for your podcast. It's been such a treat, and it's so well done. You're very well spoken, and thank you so much for also teaming up with Dean quite a lot as well. It just, seeing the two of you cross over and come together, I get excited. My brother and I are big fans, so thank you so much.
Oh, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words, and I really look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Cool. I'll talk to you soon. Take care, mate.
Yeah, you have a great night. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Cheers. Wow. What more can you say to that? Ben, what an absolute gem of a person. He is I really do wish there was more people like Ben out there. He was so incredibly well spoken and just so matter of fact about everything. Like he wasn't second guessing. He knew what he encountered. He knew what was going on. And I think that's great, because like he said, it is so easy to not want to talk about those things and feel like you need to convince people, but he's beyond that. And I guess the word is he's enlightened. Like I don't want to get all preachy, but I think Ben's enlightened about his situation, and nothing will hold him back. He sounds like he just has absolutely no fear talking about it. Doesn't care what other people think, which I think is the best way to be in this world, because you know what? Stuff other people, because let their negativity hold them down. Don't let it hold you down. So if we can take anything from tonight's call-in show, is that, if you have encountered something weird and you don't know how to go about it, own it, lean into it. That's your encounter, and you rock it. That's what I'm taking from this tonight, because that was super, super cool. So thank you so much, Ben, for coming on the show and sharing that. I might actually release this as an episode. Who knows? Like to the general public, because Ben was just fantastic. That was great. Thank you again for calling in, Ben. If it's not showing, I am gushing over you about how well you were. So, guys, thank you so much for joining the YouTube live stream for the first time. I got the chat to work halfway through there. I figured it out. Looks pretty cool. I think it adds a little bit more dynamic to the show. So let me know what you guys think of that, because I figure it's kind of cool if you're chatting and then you get to see your message on the screen as well, because it kind of makes you a little bit more part of the show. So, yeah, let me know. I think that is really, really cool. So I just before we shoot off tonight, I just want to let you guys know that if you do want to get yourself some really sweet merch, like the guy who wears a picture of himself on his own shirt, aka me, there is a really good discount. So if you sorry, Believe Plus members, if you're listening to this, the discount is probably gone. But for everyone who is on the live stream, I'll just pop over to the other screen. Oh, look at that transition. So fancy. Here we go. So, guys, there is a 35% discount going on the Believe store at the moment. So if you head over to TeePublic and actually if you just go to believepod.com, you'll be able to get a direct link to this page here. But if you are on the fence about getting a shirt, they're literally like $10 off. So this is usually about the cheapest I see the shirts go. So if you do want to get a shirt for yourself, I've got a couple of designs up there. Yowie, Bigfoot, depending on where you're from, how you want to rock it. I got one of these shirts down the bottom here with the Believe Paranormal and UFO podcast, like this, the Spooky Moon t-shirt. There we go. You can see it now. I love it. I wear it everywhere. My wife cracks the shit so bad because, again, you're wearing that shirt? And I say, yes, and I look fabulous. So deal with it. You got the Believe Icon shirt if you want that. The classic moon logo from probably, I don't know, the first 10 seasons. But yeah, here's the one I got on at the moment. Of course, we've got some other cool designs. So guys, if you are interested in that, head over there because, yeah, there's really good deals going on. Absolutely fantastic options. So if you are interested, head over there. Check it out. Let me know what you think. But guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're going to end it there. But holy moly, what a great call-in show. Thank you so much. I think we might stick with the YouTube world of it all because I think it just works really well. And it's so easy that I can kind of just see everyone's encounters, texts and messages and stuff all in one area. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you want to support the show, you can do that too at believepod.com/plus and become a plus member for $5 a month and get ad-free audio, early access to episodes, bonus content, and a whole bunch of other stuff like that too. So, guys, head over to the website. You'll get all the links for the merchandise if you want to get something there. So, and you can, and it's not just shirts. You can get like this printed on a million things over there. That's why we use TeePublic for the printing, because you can get like phone cases, pillows, things like that. So yeah, thank you guys. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you all. It was an absolute pleasure chatting to Ben, and I really do hope, Ben, if you're watching this, mate, really please do email me. I want to hear about your Yowie encounter. We just ran out of time tonight. Everyone knows I'm a sucker for a good Yowie encounter. So I'm going to leave this up on the YouTube for 24 hours. So if you want to watch it again or something like that, or you want a friend to come on board and watch it, send them the link because it's going to disappear shortly. So, and only be viewable by Believe Plus members. So until then, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I will catch you on the next live show. Cheers.